We have got another Riftbound card review video for you. Give it a like if it's helpful, and thanks to Card Market for sponsoring. Let's start off with the Void Drone. This is a card which has big synergy with Rek'Sai. I cost 2 energy less to play from anywhere other than your hand. So if you're using the Rek'Sai ability and you see Void Drone within the top 2, you can just pay 1 to play a 3 might guy. That's really good. One of my concerns about Rek'Sai, which is a legend I think is very, very strong, is if you're just hitting expensive cards of Rek'Sai all the time, if you're not like cheating out any powerful cards for less energy, you're sort of just going to be using the Rek'Sai ability and then the cards in your hand are just going to be stuck there. So actually having a card which is very powerful when hit off the top is going to be good. It is not a card you ever want to draw though. That's kind of the big problem, right, with the Void Drone. So maybe in a deck, let's say, I don't know if you can discard this somehow. Obviously, Rek'Sai is red and yellow. Not really going to have many ways to discard it. So I don't love Void Drone. Like, it's a bad card to hit in your hand, but it's good if it's in your deck. It's kind of like a high roll card. Nocturne is one of my favorite cards in the first set. And this is kind of a little bit comparable to Nocturne in a sense. You don't have to pay a power cost for it, just 1 energy instead, which is cheaper. Nocturne has ganking though, of course. This card is a little bit better to play. Well, much better actually to play if you do draw it. Nocturne's a card I like. I think I like this one too quite a bit. It is going to be quite niche in terms of the decks you want to use it in. But I think it's probably going to be quite important to have in your deck, right? Like, you're going to be wanting some high roll options off Rek'Sai, and this is definitely one. So the next card, Void Hatchling, is another Rek'Sai card, and it's one I'm not as big a fan of. It is a 2 energy, 2 might card. So best case is this card you're probably going to be playing on your very first turn. It gives you some consistency in that sense. My concern with this one is, like, I'm not sure it's that great in the late game, right? If you would reveal cards from a deck, look at the top card first, you may recycle it, then reveal those cards. Of course, the most obvious application for this is with the Rek'Sai Legend, using it on your own. But maybe, like, some fun dynamic is there are some cards in the first set of Riftbound that interact with the top card of your opponent's deck. So actually maybe there's, like, some long-term synergy with that sort of thing where you're actually using this to filter your opponent's deck. I think that could be quite fascinating. I don't love this one though, right? Like, the thing is there's such a huge difference on a 2 energy card between having 2 might and 3 might. And I'm not quite sure that this one's doing enough in the long term to justify an inclusion. I mean, if you look at Traveling Merchant, it's kind of the card I would compare this to. And Traveling Merchant is great, but it's important to remember that Traveling Merchant is in the very first set of the game where the card pool is as small as possible. So while, like, Void Hatchling might see some play to begin with, I would imagine as more sets come out, this is the kind of card that isn't quite going to be good enough in the long term. But it's definitely an interesting card with Rek'Sai and has some potential cool synergies to look for down the line, interacting with your opponent's deck. The next card is absolutely crackers. This card is an absolute banger. One of the best cards I've seen so far. It is a rare, and it is the Ferocious Forerunner. Bandor City, Yordle, and Mech. So some Rumble synergy there. It's 6 energy, 1 power, 6 might. But when it dies, you play 2 3 might mech unit tokens to your base. So 12 might for 6 energy and 1 power overall. Okay, split between 3 bodies, which is a good thing. But then, of course, you don't get them all at the same time. If there becomes, like, some sort of card which, like, triggers the death knell ability of a card, which I'm sure there will at some point, this becomes even more absurd. And of course, in a Rumble deck, it seems to be particularly good, right? Getting even more mech tokens. So I think that's also the first confirmation we've actually got that there's mech tokens, which is something that I predicted there might be. 3 might are the mech tokens. I think this card's absolutely absurdly good. I think this will see play actually in a lot of Fury decks that aren't even playing Rumble. Like, I could even see Jinx using this as a sort of finisher. Like, your opponent manages to deal with this, but then you still have 2 more guys that can go to 2 separate battlefields. The next turn you do combat tricks. This card's absurd. Super, super strong. It's kind of like, this is like hyperbolic, but it's kind of like Red's answer to the Thousand-Tailed Watcher in an aggro setting. Like, it's not as good as Watcher. Watcher is very, very different. But when I'm trying to build budget decks at the moment, I'm like, okay, how does this deck, like, actually win the game? What's my win condition? And I think this card is a huge win condition. I think it's really easy to underestimate how amazing it is to have 12 might across 3 different units for 6 energy. That is just going to apply so much pressure, allow you to take multiple battlefields, and it is just going to demand so many answers. Particularly if you are playing Red Seal. Like, for example, I'm thinking of a Jinx deck. Jinx will absolutely want to play 3 of these. Jinx already plays Red Seal. And one thing that deck just really lacks is a big finishing play. And I think this is such a good card. It's one of my favorites of the set. Up next, we've got Rengar, who is a 3 energy, 3 might champion unit. And he is got reaction, which is very fascinating. So you can use him as a combat trick. Assault +2, so he's going to be 5 might when attacking. And he can be played to a battlefield you're attacking. So you can play this to a battlefield you control as a defensive play because of the reaction ability. You can play it to the base, right, during your opponent's turn as well. So like, for example, in an Annie deck, at the moment when you ready 2 runes in Annie, you're at the end of your turn, you're always thinking that's going to be used for spells. But if you leave 1 energy open as Annie, you're ready to, you could play Rengar down, sort of as like a ramp play, right, to a battlefield you control as a defender with the reaction, or its ability to a battlefield you're attacking obviously wouldn't be in your opponent's turn. So I think this card's really good. It's a nice tempo play, particularly for Annie. Like I say, I think the fact that you can play it on your opponent's turn and actually develop more board presence during your opponent's turn is very fascinating. And 5 might for 3 energy and 1 power is very strong when it's attacking. So another card I like a lot. I like these Red Fury aggro decks. I think this is definitely one that Annie will play. For me, that's the best place for this card. Let me know if there's any other legends that come to mind with any of these cards. Up next, we've got Dunebreaker, which is another Void unit. 7 energy, 7 might, 1 power. If you have 2 or fewer cards in your hand, I enter ready, and when I hold, draw 2. This card's amazing. This card is absolutely bonkers. Again, I just mentioned like red is maybe lacking some win conditions for these aggro decks like Jinx and Annie. Annie kind of has a bit more of a win condition because it's got more runes to play with compared with Jinx. But this card just seems so good. Obviously, the Jinx synergy is quite clear to begin with 2 or fewer cards in your hand entering ready. And when I hold, draw 2. That's really good with Jinx in particular, because the problem that Jinx has is you can empty your hand so quickly to begin with, but then it's just hard to ever like replenish your hand. If you just top deck 1 bad card in Jinx, you're kind of cooked. So actually holding and then drawing 2 is really important, because you can trigger your Jinx first. Both of these abilities, the Jinx and the Dunebreaker, when I hold, trigger on the B, right? You've got A, B, C, D, you've got Awaken, Begin. And beginning phase is where you score holding points, is where you trigger abilities like Jinx and the Dunebreaker here. So you could choose the Jinx first, choose the Dunebreaker, draw 3 cards, draw for turn, 4 cards total that you can draw with 1 Dunebreaker in a Jinx deck. So that is absolutely outstanding. And of course, the fact it enters ready at 7 might for just 1 power is very fascinating. So this one will definitely see play as well. Very strong cards for red. Moving on though, we have got now some green cards, starting off with the Royal Entourage, which is a 3 energy, 4 might, 1 power. When you play me, ready or exhaust a legend. That's going to include your opponent. So this could be quite fascinating against a set player, for example. You exhaust your opponent's set when they're like sort of banking on using it. So maybe this could just be sort of used as a tech card. Could also, like Yasuo, maybe it's okay with. Probably not. Like Yasuo costs 2 energy to trigger, and then you play this for 3, and then Yasuo costs another 2. So I don't think it's great with Yasuo. I'm sure there's some legends that you can use this for, like your own legend, but I think for this cost, it's really more of a disruptive tool and like a sideboard card that can disrupt your opponent's legends, which are looking to do stuff during your turn. Set is the most obvious one for me that comes to mind. So quite fascinating card. Don't love it. The power is quite expensive, but I think as a sideboard tech card, it could be really good in the right settings. We've got Thwonk next, which is a 2 energy spell, action speed, and also has repeat, stun, and attacking unit. Great card. Leona actually really suffers from not having enough stun options, and this being 2 stuns in 1 card, it's exactly what Leona needs. So I think this card is very good, actually, just in general. I like it a lot. And I think particularly Leona is going to be licking her lips. I think Leona is one of the legends from the first set, which is it's just lacking a little bit in terms of actually how many stun cards it has available. So having a card like this, which gives you 2 stuns for 1 slot in your deck, is great. The flexibility on this one's great. It's a really good card. I like it an awful lot. Brutalizer, which I don't believe we covered, is an equipment, which is, if this was attached to me this turn, I have an additional +2 might. So +3 might for the first turn. That's going to be good with the legend that's like moving gear from card to card, which I think is Jax. Yeah, it is. So yeah, that's going to be nice with Jax, like a staple gear in that sort of deck where you're moving gear around. We've got Not So Fast, which is another counter, but this one just costing 2 and 1 power. Counter an enemy spell or ability that chooses a friendly unit or gear. So I like this one a lot. We've got Wind Wall at the moment, which costs 4, which can counter anything. But like Yasuo, for example, when you play Kane, which is like a 6 might guy, which like your whole deck kind of revolves around, and then your opponent is just able to kill it very, very easily. Having to pay like 4 for Wind Wall when you could just be paying 2 for Not So Fast is really, really important in a combo deck. So this card is exceptionally good in Yasuo in particular is the one that comes to mind, but sort of any kind of combo deck where you just really need to protect your cards. You're not as bothered about countering spells that your opponent's doing on their own turn, right? Like you don't care about invert timelines, right? You don't need to counter that. You just need to counter hard removal for your units and gear. This card's great in that setting. So I think this one's very strong. This might be one of my favorite cards. Stellar Corn Herder. I've already said that quite a few times, but the set just looks great. And it's 4 energy, 3 might. When I move, draw 1. That is unbelievably good. Like this card is super staple. I expect that basically every green deck is going to play 3 of these, not just movement decks. Why is that? Well, it costs you no power and it's 4 energy. That's like a really good threshold for me. You can play it on your second turn if you're going first or second without any issue. You play it to your base. Next turn, you move it to a battlefield. It replaces itself. And it doesn't cost you any energy. Like that is absolutely absurd. And then you start to think, okay, what if you play this card in a deck that has movement synergy, right? Like if you play Yasuo with like purple, with like Ride the Wind, with the Yasuo legend, with Tide Turner, then this card's just absurd. Really, really strong card. I like this one an awful lot. I think it's one of the best cards of the set, which I have already said about 7 times this video, but never mind. We've got Aphelios. Can you tell I'm not a League player? 4 energy, 1 power, 4 might. When you attach an equipment to me, choose one that hasn't been chosen this turn. You can either ready 2 runes, channel 1 rune exhausted, or buff a friendly unit. Readying 2 runes is like a very, very powerful ability already. So this card's interesting. Again, this is a card that you're going to want to attach equipment, multiple different equipment to. So yeah, the same legend, probably Jax is the one that comes to mind where you can detach equipment quite easily. It's extremely big payoff for that sort of thing. Like there's a big benefit to actually move that gear around. Like when I was looking at these equipment leaders, I'm like, okay, but where's the payoff? This is very big payoff. Being able to ramp, ready 2 runes in particular, the buff is also nice as well. But the fact that you can play this, or rather attach equipment to this and immediately ready 2 runes, like it might cost you 1 rune to attach an equipment to it, right? So you're actually gaining tempo back by attaching something to this. Then you attach something else, you ramp. It's a very strong card, I think, in the right deck. There might be a few too many moving parts for this one though, but like if some of these decks where you're detaching gear, reattaching gear are going to be successful, this is a card that you will definitely play 3 copies of, I think. All right, we've got Azir Ascendant up next. So this could be a chosen champion for your Azir legend. Let's just remind ourselves on exactly what that looks like. It's the Sand Soldiers with Weapon Master, and you can play Sand Soldier tokens to your base. So this is quite an interesting bit of text. You can pay a power, and you get an action speed. Choose a unit you control. So this is, you can do it during showdowns or during your turn. Choose a unit you control, move me to its location and it to my original location. So very similar to Tide Turner. Tide Turner is when played, but this is like just something you can do as an action when it's on the board. If it's equipped, so if it's got an equipment, you may attach one of its equipment to me, use only once per turn. Is that good? Choose a unit you control, move me to its location. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty good. The thing is, it's got to be on the board in the first place to trigger this, and it already costs you 6 energy, 1 power, 6 might, and it's 6 might. So it's definitely very expensive. This is the alternative artwork for this as well, by the way. It's definitely extremely expensive, but I don't know. I'm kind of unconvinced by this one. Quite hard to evaluate, but a little bit unconvinced. I think it's just a bit too expensive, but we'll have to see. This is the normal art, and you can see it's an epic, which I think makes sense. Doesn't really quite seem like legendary worth for me. We've got Jax Unmatched next, and we've obviously been looking a lot at the Jax legend ability already. This is a 5 energy, 1 power, 5 might. Again, I hate having chosen champions that cost power if I can at all avoid it. So that's a huge downside. Doesn't mean that it's not going to be good. There's plenty of champions that you use as your chosen champion that have a power, but it is a huge downside. Deflect. Each equipment in your hand has quick draw. Wow. That's an absurdly good card. This does need to be on the board for that to happen. I say it's an absurdly good card. It's an absurdly good ability is what I really mean by this. Deflect makes it difficult to deal with. It can chill at your base. If it's at your champion zone, this effect is not relevant. But so many equipment cards I've looked at and I've said, okay, well, maybe if they had like quick draw, I could be a little bit more impressed by them. So this is going to give you access to a bunch of cards which would never usually be able to be combat tricks and turn them into combat tricks. So there's probably some synergy with this card that's going to, I don't want to say break the game, but like all you need is a few cards to, like 2 equipment cards to really have insane synergy with this card, and this card is bonkers. And actually it's a very good chosen champion because you can then build your whole deck around this very, very consistently, right? You would only necessarily need to play 1 copy of this in your deck as your chosen champion, and then a bunch of gear cards which synergize with it. And that's the beautiful thing about the game design here, is that if this was just a normal card in your deck, it would probably be very, very janky. But the fact that you can have access to this every single game that you need to, it, I think, becomes a lot more interesting. So I think this one's good. Very good chosen champion, probably. And here's the normal art of it. You can see it's an epic. Needlessly large Yordle. Great name. 10 energy, 3 power, 5 might. Shield 5, so it's going to be 10 might as a defender with tank. And it costs 2 energy and 1 power less for each point you scored from holding this turn. Wow, very, very interesting. So if you hold 1, which like holding 2 is ambitious to say the least, but if you manage to hold 1, it's going to cost 8 energy and 2 power. But if you could hold 2, then it would cost you 6 energy and 1 power. Interesting. Obviously, like there's some time warp synergy there as well, potentially, where if you're playing green and blue, which is like an Ari deck, which already plays time warp a lot of the time and has big holding synergy with the Ari that scores points when holding, this could be like another thing that you throw into the mix, right? Like if you hold 2, play time warp, you're going to score 4 points, and your needlessly large Yordle would cost you 0 power and 2 energy. I feel like it's not very good, if I'm honest, guys. I don't think this card's very good. Honestly, it seems really bad. Maybe I'm missing something here. There is also synergy with this one and Dazzling Aurora, of course. It could be like a Dazzling Aurora card that you play, maybe. Seems very janky to me. Like, I'm not really too impressed by the card. But 10 might as a defender, like you're holding, you're wanting it to defend, right? You're going to play it to the battlefield, you're holding. There's definitely Ari synergy there. So it's interesting, but we'll have to wait and see. Kind of unconvinced by it. It seems a bit too expensive for my liking. 5 energy, 1 power, 5 might, Ornn Blacksmith. This is I always forget the name of the rarity. It's an epic, and there is an Ornn legend ability already, and it's one of the ones that looks very, very strong. It's the same ability as Kaiser, but working for gear and gear abilities. And Ornn Blacksmith is chilling at 5 energy, 1 power. When you play me, or when I hold, look at the top 4 cards of your main deck. You may reveal a gear from among them and draw it, then recycle the rest. So a nice card draw tool. When you play it, it's going to replace itself, and if it holds, it starts actually adding cards to hand. Nice bit of consistency. There's also some Nocturne synergy in there, which is one of my favorite things. Because you look at the top 4, the Nocturne is when you look at me and don't draw me, you can play me. So there's some interesting Nocturne synergy in a green and purple deck, which is like Yasuo or Aurelia. But obviously the most obvious place for this one is going to be in an Ornn deck. I actually think that this is, it's good. I'm not that convinced it's amazing in an Ornn deck. We'll have to see what the other Ornn chosen champions are, like heavy gear. It's definitely not bad, but I'm not like blown away by it either. To be honest, the thing that is catching my eye is the Nocturne synergy. But then you would need a Nocturne deck which also plays a lot of gear, which might be a stretch, to be fair. It's definitely a good card, but I'm not like blown away by it either, I would say. And next we've got Tiana Crown Guard, which is a 7 energy, 2 power, 4 might with deflect. While I'm at a battlefield, opponents can't score points. Damn, that's a spicy card, but that is going to be very, very difficult to protect. 4 might is quite easy to deal with. It does have deflect, in fairness. But basically this gives you a very interesting line in a slower deck, for example, right? Like imagine in like a Dazzling Aurora deck, your opponent is just totally dominating one battlefield, but you've managed to get control of one. They're at 7 points. All they need to do is hold to win the game. At least they think. And then you play Tiana Crown Guard and it totally changes the situation, changes the maths. It gives you an extra turn. If they're not able to conquer that turn and they're like banking on holding, then you're going to be able to win the game if they can't clear this. It seems very, like obviously the ability is absurd and it's really, really cool, but it does also seem like a bit of a meme to me. I could be very, very, very wrong on that. Like there might just be some decks that can make use of this, but you're paying an absurd amount of cost for such an ability. Like this card is only really good against decks which rely on holding for that last point, right? Imagine you play this against a blue deck and they play Thousand-Tailed Watcher. It's going to be completely useless, really, isn't it? They're just going to clear this from the battlefield and score the point anyway. So it's only good against decks which are like looking to hold to win. And there's not that many decks like that. Most decks are quite flexible, right? Like any blue deck has Watcher. Purple decks have things like Fight or Flight, which can secure the win. Red has a lot of cards which enter ready, like Accelerate is quite popular in the metagame. So for me, this one, as powerful and as cool as the ability is, I have a feeling that it's extremely niche. Maybe it's a card you could sideboard in like a Dazzling Aurora Master Yi deck, for example, for specific matchups, potentially. The Aspiring Engineer, this is a Runeterra artwork, 3 energy, 1 power, 3 might. When you play me, return a gear from your trash to your hand. So there's a card like this in purple, like the Cemetery Attendant that's in a starter deck. So I have a feeling this might also be in a starter deck, maybe, possibly. And I don't like the card. That's return a unit from your trash to hand. This is return a gear. This one might actually be a little bit better because there might be some gear that's like destroying itself that you really want back. Like certainly in Disney Lorcana, my Disney Lorcana viewers will know that this kind of card in Disney Lorcana would be quite powerful because there's quite a lot of gear which draws you cards when you play it. Haven't really seen anything that catches the eye for me to believe in this card just yet though, but we'll have to see. Bubblebot, this is a mech, which is Rumble is a red and blue deck. So this is a 3 energy, 3 might mech. When you play me, ready another friendly mech. Sick card, so good. Oh my god, I love it. It's a first mate in blue, but only for mechs. But that's really good. It also shows you how good the first mate is, because first mate is just ready anything. But first mate's one of the best cards in orange, one of my favorite cards in the game. Bubblebot, what a name. Bubblebot. Very, very, very good card. I'm certainly, if I don't get this in my boxes, going to be using my Card Market stuff on this. So thanks to Card Market for sponsoring. I appreciate you, Card Market. Great card. Really, really good. Chemtech Cask, 1 energy, gear. When you play a spell on an opponent's turn, you may exhaust me to play a gold gear token exhausted. So basically, you pay 1 and have 1 card less in hand. But every time you're using a spell once a turn on your opponent's turn, you can sport a gold gear token. Gold gear is like a one-time use seal where you get any color power. I think this is really good, particularly in like heavy gear builds. Like for example, the Ornn deck, where you maybe want a lot of different gear and you have a lot of gear that has power costs. This is a interesting option. It is going to empty your hand quite quickly if you play a lot and you don't have a lot of card draw. But also like we looked at the Ornn Champion, which is looking at the top cards of your deck, top 4, adding a gear to hand. Whenever you hold, do the same. You're going to need a fair amount of gear cards in your deck for that to be good. This card is definitely pretty solid. Obviously, blue has Stupefy as well. That comes to mind. There's a lot of synergy there. Pay 1 to get a gold gear token. I think it's good. I like this card quite a lot. I gotta say, I think it's very good. We've got the Frostcoat Cub, which is 3/3. I believe this is also Runeterra art. You may pay a blue power as an additional cost to play me. When you play me, if you paid the additional cost, give a unit -2 this turn. So you can play it as a 3 for 3, or you can play it as like a -2 combat trick. It's okay. It's definitely not bad by any stretch of the imagination. Have to say I'm not in love with it either. I kind of like it though. Like if you're just playing a deck which is struggling for 3 drops, it's fine on 3. I don't really like this card particularly, I've got to say. If like, let's say you could pay some sort of different cost that's not power for like a similar effect, I would like it a lot more, but paying a power cost, like I don't mind it. It's actually quite good paying the power cost. If you pay the power cost, it's quite good. But I almost want the card to just be better when you're not paying the power cost, right? Like at the moment, this card is only good if you pay the power cost. And do you really want to include a card like this where it's only good if you pay the power cost? You probably want to include a card like this where if you pay the power cost, it's good in a niche situation, but it's just always good, right? I mean, I think it's a very well-designed card from that perspective, but I'm not sure that I'm in love with it either. I think it's very well-balanced, and a very well-balanced card is not necessarily the card I'm looking to put in my deck. But I think this will see some play. Breakneck Mech, which is another mech, 8 energy, 2 power, and 7 might. Your mechs have deflect and ganking. I enter ready if you control another mech. Okay, this card's crazy good. Giving all your mechs ganking and deflect. Great finisher card, right? Play this down, enters ready. It is like a budget version of Thousand-Tailed Watcher as well. You probably are still going to play Thousand-Tailed Watcher in that deck. So that begs the question, are you going to want this and Thousand-Tailed Watcher in your Rumble deck? Probably, to be honest. Maybe you wouldn't want 3 of these, but certainly I could see you playing 1 or 2. It's a nice finisher, and again, if you don't have access to Thousand-Tailed Watcher, it's great, even better in a budget sense, right? The experimental Hexplate, which is if whatever this is attached to becomes a mech, quite interesting. Don't dislike it. Still like need to be a bit convinced by this gear because it is quite expensive, but that's a cool text. I like it. The Prize of Progress, 4 energy, 1 power, 3 might. It's a unit. When you use an activated ability of a gear, give me +1 might this turn. So an activated ability, I'm going to assume, would be something like this. When you play a spell on an opponent's turn, exhaust me to get a gear. I'm assuming that's the case. So this is extremely expensive for not much power to begin with. You kind of need to activate at least 2 gear in a turn for this to even be a consideration. I think this card's pretty terrible, actually. Like, there's obviously some sick combos you can do with this, where if you activate, like, 4 gears, right? Like, I guess also the gold gear. I think, like, activated ability is basically anything, right? It could be tapping a seal, it could be using a gold gear, it could be triggering the ability. It's kind of weird text that I've not seen before, but I'm assuming that's the case. So, in a very, very heavy gear deck, this could quickly get to huge might. But you're paying 4 energy and 1 power. You're playing all this gear down as well. Like, it sounds extremely slow for like how much payoff. Like, I think if you're not activating 3 gear a turn, it's kind of bad. And the thing is like, you need to consider that it's going to reset at your opponent's turn. So even if you make it like a 9 might guy during your own turn, then it's still going to be a 3 might guy in your opponent's turn. But I mean, if you look at Vi's like an interesting card that can finish, but Vi costs half as much, right? She has ganking. I think this card's pretty terrible, but maybe I eat my words there. I think it's bad. Bard, 4 energy, 1 power, 4 might. A champion unit. You may exhaust your legend as an additional cost to play me. When you play me, if you paid the additional cost, move any number of your units to an open battlefield. Pretty cool card. Pretty cool card. There's some movement synergy there. 4 energy, 1 power, and exhaust your legend. I'm pretty unconvinced by this one. But like, for example, like in a Teemo deck, you don't care about exhausting your legend. So it could be interesting. The power cost is a bit of a shame, to be honest. If it wasn't for the power cost, I would like it an awful lot more, right? Like if it was 3 might, no power cost. The power cost though, is like, when is there going to be open battlefields? Often it's going to be at the start of the game. When do you not want to play power costs most? At the start of the game. So it feels like a very niche card and I'm not too amazed by it, but I also could see this being, right, when we see a Bard legend, I could see this being a good chosen champion in the right setting. Jace, Man of Progress, 4 energy, 4 might, No power. Very, very good stat line. When you play me, you may kill a friendly gear. If you do, you may play a gear with energy cost no more than 7 energy from hand this turn, ignoring its energy cost. Bro, that card's crazy. Holy moly, Batman. That is an insane card. So you kill a friendly gear that's on the board, and you can play a gear that costs 7 or less. That also makes like these cheaper gear cards, like the Chemtech Cask good, right? You could also do this on like a gold token. You could do this on like a seal if you've got your use out of the seal and you don't want it anymore. Crazy ramp potential as well, right? Like, let's say you're going second. On your first turn, you play a 2-drop and one of these 1 might, 1 energy tokens, 1 energy gear rather. Then you play Jace on the next turn and you have a 7 energy gear. The question is, how much 7 energy gears are there? I don't think I've seen any, but obviously the more stuff gets printed, the better this guy becomes. And honestly, even if you're like cheating at like a 3 or 4 gear, it's already quite good. Very, very strong card. We've got Ornn, Forge God. So Ornn does have this legend ability we already looked at. 6 energy for my... I'm already interested in this very much as a chosen champion because I didn't love the other that much as a chosen champion. And this one doesn't have a power cost. So you can play this on your 3rd turn every game. Deflect 2, insane ability. Weapon Master, which is when you play me, you may equip one of your equipment to me for a power less, even if it's already attached. And I have +1 might for every friendly gear. It's pretty good. I don't think it's amazing. Deflect 2 is very powerful. I do like this card. I like this card quite a bit. I think this is the better chosen champion. It's a nice finisher. If there's like some sort of gear that you could attach this to that's like when you attach this, ready that character. Imagine the synergy there, right? That could be insane. Deflect 2 is very, very good. 4 might for 6 is obviously a lot, but it's already getting +1 for each friendly gear. So if you've got 2 gear down, right, already, you've got a 6 might guy for 6 with Deflect 2 with Weapon Master. Like, that's already pretty good, right? It's already pretty good. If you've got 3, 4 gear down, you're getting into like extremely good territory. So I really like this as a chosen champion. Don't need to have any in your main deck. I don't think it's a card you would want in your hand, but it's like the perfect example of a card that's just there, ready. It's a threat. You can play it on curve if you need to, if you kind of brick a bit, or just use it as a nice finishing play as big tempo. Onto the orange cards, the body cards, 4/4 Yordle. When you play a card with power cost 2 power or more, draw 1. Also very good, I think. You play it down, it doesn't do anything to begin with. But yeah, like a falling star in like an orange-red deck, for example. Great. There's like some new card draw in blue. There's like some like 3 power cost card, which is like draw 3. Great. Kaiser has synergy with this as well. Oh, you can't play Kaiser with this. But like any kind of legend which is going to be paying power cost for free, any seals, gold tokens, it's pretty good. It's good in a deck where you're already playing those heavy power costs. You're not going to like put Yordle Explorer into your deck and then start playing the heavy power cost cards because of the Yordle Explorer. But if you've got a deck where you already have heavy power costs, you might put this in. It's also an interesting option, isn't it, in like a Dazzling Aurora deck? Obviously, Dazzling Aurora, we tend not to see people play any early curve at all, but those Dazzling Aurora decks do have a lot of heavy power costs. So, and if you want to have like some early curve, this could be an option, right? Like that you could sideboard in against an aggro deck or something like this. I don't know. Not too like amazed by this card, but I think it's got potential in the right setting. Not sure Dazzling Aurora will play it, to be honest. We've got Marching Orders, a 3 energy spell with action, so you can play it in showdowns or your turn. Repeat 3, so yeah, basically you just pay the cost twice to do it twice. So you can either pay 3 to do it once or 6 to do it twice. Choose a friendly unit anywhere and an enemy unit at a battlefield. They deal damage to their mites to each other. Costs you no power. You can do it twice. Being able to do it twice is particularly interesting, right? Because you can have like, let's say you sink like 7 damage counters onto one of your own cards. Then you can choose that same card again. And basically 2 for 1 of your big guys for 2 of your opponent's big guys. So it's got potential. It's definitely got potential. It can't be bad. It's quite similar to Challenge, but it doesn't cost a power, right? And it has the repeat flexibility. honestly, the repeat flexibility is very, very big. Like the tempo swing, 2-for-1ing some of your guys, or like you take out 2 of your opponent's guys for 0 of your guys, and then you start a combat or end your turn and the damage wiped. It's definitely got huge potential, right? You've got the Ancient Henge, Stonehenge. As a British man, that makes me quite happy. 2 energy, 1 power. It's a gear. Reaction, so similar to a seal. Pay any amount of energy to add that much energy into your pool. Pay any amount of energy to add that much power. Wow. So basically, what this card allows you to do is it allows you to use an energy cost as a power cost once every turn. Because you can do it in your opponent's turn. So let's give you an example of this, right? If you're playing an Annie deck, okay, bad example because Falling Star you can't do in your opponent's turn. Let's say you're playing a red deck and it's your turn. You've got Falling Star, right? Let's just say you're playing Annie, but it's your own turn. You've got 4 energy available. With your Falling Star, you pay your 2 energy, like you usually would, and usually you would pay 2 power. But with Ancient Henge, you pay 2 energy and 2 more energy to play it instead of sinking in those power costs. Very, very interesting. Obviously, it's got gear synergy. It does cost a gear itself to begin with. Sorry that I've had that worn up. I'm on my laptop here and not on my usual setting. Yeah, very interesting card. Very, very interesting card. The fact that it costs a power to begin with, like maybe if you're playing Orange Seal, for example, I don't think it can be bad. We've got the Bone Shiver next. 3 energy gear, equipment. Equip for 1 energy and a power. Attach this to a unit you control. I'm not sure why it says both of these. This card's kind of hard to read, isn't it? Because it's got both. I think it's just... I'm a bit confused by the wording on this card because that's not what most of these look like. Most of the gear, equip, maybe it is. I think it's just confusing me. I think it's just a normal gear. 1 energy, 1 power. Attach this to a unit you control. Yeah, it is. +2 might. When I conquer channel 1 rune exhausted. It's not bad. You could see oh, this would be good with Fiora, because the Fiora deck is all about making units mighty, right? And +2 makes something mighty, also channels runes. So could be good with Fiora, for example. Not quite convinced Fiora is that good though. Okay, we've got Severe up next. Severe does have a legend ability, which is when you recycle a rune, you may exhaust me to play a gold gear token exhausted when one or more enemy units die ready me. So the chosen champion potentially here, Severe Ambitious, 3 power, deflect 2. When I conquer after an attack, if you have 5 or more excess damage to enemy units, you may deal that much to an enemy unit. And that could be at a different battlefield, that could be at a base. Extremely expensive card. Wow, that's a lot of power that you're having to pay. But listen, if you're trying to close out the game, it doesn't really matter that much, right? 5 or more excess damage. It's very niche. I don't know. Very expensive. Lots of excess damage required. I'm a bit unconvinced by this one, but it could be a very good way to close the game. And also Severe gives you lots of gold gear, right? Which helps you pay power costs more cheaply. So that also is important to note that you're going to have a lot of gold gear tokens that can make this 3 power cost significantly less impactful. This is also an example of where you could use Ancient Hedge, right? If you have a ton of resources, you could reduce the power cost of this potentially. It's an interesting card. I'm a bit unconvinced by it though, to be honest. Doran's Ring. When I conquer, discard 1, then draw 1. So it is an equipment which turns your guy into a traveling merchant. Not bad. This card is absurd. Probably the best card of the set. Which I have said a lot of times, but this one I really, really mean it. 2 energy. Reaction. Play at any time. Repeat 2. Counter a spell unless its controller pays 2. Right? So, crazy. You pay 2 to counter, then your opponent says, no, I pay 2. And you say, no, I pay 2. And then they can say no again to pay 2. So basically, if your opponent plays a charm, right, for 1, I can pay 2, they have to pay another 2. I can pay another 2, they have to pay another 2. So It's a very interesting card because it is a counter card, but it's a counter card that your opponent can play around in a heads-up way if they leave enough resources open. It's a super, super fascinating card. Like the repeat ability on this is really cool. It's such an interesting card. It's going to be extremely popular to be using in decks. I really like it. I think it's a very, very cool card. It does arguably sort of like blur the lines between green and purple, but this isn't like guaranteed counter in any way. Your opponent can always counter this counter, right? Which is so cool. I really like it. Fizz Trickster, 3 energy, 1 power, 3 might. When you play me, you may play a spell from your trash with energy cost no more than 3 energy, ignoring its energy cost. Recycle that spell after you play it. So if you've got, you still pay power cost, but if you've got like a 3 energy card, which doesn't have a power cost that's good, I mean, let's just use Fight or Flight as an example, because it's one of my favorite cards. It's a 2 energy, no power cost card. You play Fizz, you get a Fight or Flight from your discard that you play for free alongside it. That's already pretty good, right? I mean, frankly, even like playing Fizz and getting like a stacked deck, not that bad either. Not like the best use. So if you can find some 3 energy cards, which are really, really powerful, some 3 energy spells with no power costs, she could be very good. She does cost a power. She's only 3 might herself, but she's got to be good. She's got to be good, I think. We've got J. Medada. 2 power, 5 energy, 5 might. When you choose me with a spell, draw 1. So a bit of a card draw option in like a Yasuo deck in particularly, right? If you're playing green and orange, green and purple. But Aurelia is going to have really nice synergy with this because Aurelia's kind of all focused on like targeting your own cards and readying it. So nice card draw option, I think. It's not bad by any stretch, but it is expensive in terms of the power cost. We've got Vex Cheerless, 5 energy, 1 power, 5 might. While I'm in combat, friendly spells cost 1 energy, 1 power less to a minimum of 1 energy, and enemy spells cost 1 energy and 1 power more? Crazy. So it's only when she's in combat, but that's quite fascinating that it makes your opponent's cards cost more and yours less. I think this also can't be bad in the right deck. Yeah, it's got to be good, I think. Like your stupefiers, which cost 1, are still going to cost 1, right? But like Void Seeker, which is like this 3 energy, 1 power card, which is dealing 4 and drawing a card. That's going to cost you, if you were to try and use Void Seeker with Vex in combat, it would cost you 2 energy, no power, and it would cost your opponent 5 energy and 1 power. Like the difference there is unbelievable, right? Like it's reducing yours, increasing your opponent's. That is like absurdly big difference. This card's very, very good, I think. I like this a lot. Against green, or when you're playing green, right? Imagine playing Discipline for 1. Discipline, give +2 might, draw a card for 1. Crazy. And you could even have like Ride the Wind, which is 2 energy, 1 power, suddenly costing you 1 energy while Vex is in combat. This card's absurdly good. I like it a lot. Downwell, this is a huge new card. It's a big board clear, 8 energy, 2 power, return all units and gear to their owner's hands. Just clears the board, but it puts everything into hand. So in Digital Arcana, we have Be Prepared as the big board clear. Downwell is the big board clear here in Riftbound for the time being. Very strong. It's got to be good for control. Haven't really got any true control decks at the moment outside of like Aurora decks, which I don't really count. So yeah, very, very cool to see this in the mix. Bonds of Strength. Repeat 2. Give 2 friendly units, each +1 might this turn. It's extremely expensive if you compare it to like back-to-back, but the repeat ability gives it some flexibility. Don't really like it that much. 4 energy to give 4 might as a combat trick. I mean, it's actually not bad. When you put it that way, it's not that bad. The flexibility is part of the use of this one. It's not bad. It's not great, is it? Most of these repeat cards aren't great because you're like paying a lot. In terms of the flexibility of the repeat makes the initial spell worse, right? But it's good-ish. We've got a Royal Guard, 4 energy, 2 might. When you play me, pay a 2 might Sand Soldier token unit here. Great card. This will see a ton of play. This will see a ton of play like in non-Sand Soldier decks. I think 4 might for 4 energy across 2 bodies is very, very reasonable. Going wide in this game is very, very good. It allows you to like control more battlefields more easily. Playing one card and getting 2 cards out of it is really good. I think it's very easy to underestimate how valuable that is. So I like this card an awful lot. We've got Drag Under, 5 energy, 1 power. It's an action, and it costs 2 energy less to play from anywhere other than your hand, and you can kill a unit at a battlefield. So again, big synergy there with Rek'Sai in particular. Cool card. So if you see off Rek'Sai, it's going to cost you 3 energy and a power to kill a unit at a battlefield. That's pretty good, isn't it? It's pretty good. We've got the Glask Mixologist, also a Runeterra art, 5 energy, 1 power, 5 might. Death Knell ability. You may play a unit with cost no more than 3 energy and no more than 1 power from your trash, ignoring its cost. So much earlier in the video, we looked at like this guy, right? This guy. We actually never even looked at this. We'll come back to it, sorry. I cost 2 energy less to play from anywhere other than your hand. There is actually a bit of synergy there. Also with this guy, right? Oh, ignoring its cost. Okay. I'm talking nonsense. You can't, I mean, you can do it, but it doesn't really make much sense. Death Knell, 3 less. So basically something that costs 3 power and 1 energy, like a Fizz. I mean, Fizz actually looks like it's got a lot of synergy here. That's actually the card that comes to mind immediately that we've just been looking at, right? Because when this guy dies, you can play Fisk from your discard and then play something else from your discard, start chaining stuff together. Like, that sounds like a lot of potential tempo. So that's interesting to consider. We've got the Vanguard Armory, 7 energy, 1 power. We talked about Jace and powerful gear to combine with him. Well, hello. Exert, pay 3 1 might recruit tokens. You may play them to a different location. This card's very good. It is expensive, but you can trigger it the turn you play it, right? So the turn you play it, you get 3 recruit tokens. Next turn, you get 3 more. Next one. 3 is a lot. So I think this is a really good card to overwhelm. If you can cheat it out in particular, if you don't actually have to pay the 7 for it, it becomes absurd. Because it is an engine as well, right? Every turn it's just giving you more and more and more. Definitely one to look out for. Jace, yellow and blue is Victor, right? So, yeah, you're good to go. Crazy. Renata Glask, the Industrialist, 4 energy, 1 power, 4 might. Your tokens enter ready. There is a Renata legend, which is when you or an ally hold, you may exhaust me to play a gold gear token exhausted. While your score is within 3 points of the victory score, your gold adds an additional 1 energy. Doesn't seem to have like huge natural synergy there, does it? With that legend, but yeah, there you go. It's kind of interesting. Tokens entering ready is a big deal, though. It is definitely a big deal. Imagine you're just spawning tokens, and rather than coming in exerted, they go out ready. You can just capture like an empty battlefield. So it's an interesting card. Don't love it though. We've got Sacred Shears, 2 energy, 1 power, and it gives something +1 might and the Death Knell ability that draws 1. Drawing cards is good. Can't be too bad, this one. Soroka, Wanderer, 4 energy, 1 power, 4 might. I actually saw this one on Twitter because someone was like, oh my god, Riftbound looks so complicated. I must be assigned combat damage last, so it's like the opposite of tank. I think Caitlyn has that ability as well. If another unit you control here would die, if it has less might than me, instead heal it, exhaust it, and recall it. I guess like another unit you control here would die. That would include like multiple units, right? And if this dies, I don't think it would trigger. But I'm not actually 100% sure on that. That's like one of those rulings where it's like, I don't actually know. If this can die and you can still recall stuff, it's good. If this dies and you can't, that's really what that card is kind of like living and dying by. We've got the Trove Golem, 8 energy, 2 power, 9 might. When you play me, play 4 gold gear tokens exhausted. That's a lot of gold gear tokens. There's obviously synergy there with gear cards, right, as well. Like if the more gear you have, the more points you have. Getting 4 gold gear tokens. Thing is, it's like very late in the game you're going to play that. It does set you back initially for a bit of explosiveness. Not too convinced by that one. We've got the Under Titan, 6 energy, 1 power, 5 might. When you play me, give your other units +2 might this turn. That's very good. As I'm revealed from your deck, add 2 energy. Okay, this card's cracked. So strong. It's good as a swarm payoff. It's good as like a card to be revealed off like Rek'Sai. I like this card a lot. Particularly just when you play me, give your other units +2 might this turn. Like, that's really good. Really good. We've got Sin Zhao, Vigilant, 3 energy, 1 power, 4 might. It's got tank, and I enter ready if you have 2 or more other units in your base. I like that card a lot. Entering ready is good. It enters ready, your other cards are at your base, you move them in, right? It's also got particular synergy with like Victor, right? Where you can like spawn tokens, or like any kind of card which is spawning tokens. It's going to be easy to trigger this more early on. It does cost a power though, but it's a good card. Every card that enters ready can't really be bad. We've got Azir, which has 4 energy, 4 might, and accelerate. I like this card a lot already. It's very similar stat line to Kai'Sa. When I attack, you may move any number of your token units to this battlefield. It's good. It's just good in it. It's really good. Great chosen champion option. Karina Varaza. This was such a cool card in Runeterra. Same art. Definitely a card I'm excited to see in the mix. 7 energy, 1 power, 6 might. Accelerate. And when I move to a battlefield, play 3 1 might recruit tokens here. Yeah, that's good. It's expensive, but it's good. Like Trifarian War Camp, for example, right? Suddenly those 1 might recruit tokens are 2 might. Some combat tricks. It's good. I like it a lot. Good finisher. We've also got some battlefields. Before we look at the battlefields, I did miss this one red card Against the Odds, which is a 2 energy reaction spell. Give a friendly unit at a battlefield +2 might this turn for each enemy unit there. That's very good. That's very good. 2 might for 2 is already not that bad, right? If you compare this to Discipline, 2 might plus draw a card obviously is much better. But suddenly if your opponent has 2 cards there, you're getting 4 might for 2. That's already insanely good for a red card. Like, this card's extremely strong, and I think it will be very popular. Ornn's Forge. While you control this battlefield, the first friendly non-token gear played each turn costs 1 less. The first friendly non-token gear played this turn costs 1 less. So there's like a lot of those gears that cost 1 are suddenly going to cost 0. That's pretty sick, right? Because it's not limited either. And this is just while you control it. So it's not while you conquer, not while you hold, it's while you control it. So that's pretty cool. But it's each turn. It's not like you can move out of it, move back in and trigger it twice, but still. Power Nexus, while you hold here, you may pay 4 power to score a point. Absurd. I love that. That is so sick. Like, that is one of the coolest battlefields in the game. If not the best. The coolest. I love cards which can score points, and this is a battlefield which can score points, right? Ari, Time Warp, any kind of like hold deck. Suddenly, 5 points is threatening the win, right? That's a huge deal. Who needs 4 power when you're about to win the game? Now, it's worth mentioning as well, the way this would work is it's A, B, C, D, right? So you would awaken. I'm not sure that you would be able to... I think you can float runes as well. I think you could float the energy whenever you want. I think floating runes is like a reaction speed. So even though you haven't channeled and drawn, that's the big question I have on that one, on Power Nexus. Because if you can float the energy, like add the energy to your pool and then recycle it, it becomes even better. It's obviously risky because your opponent could utilize it as well, but either way, this card's great. Like, realistically, even if you can't float that energy, it's still good, right? Because you just win the game with this. Very cool card. Ravenbloom Conservatory. When you defend here, reveal the top card of your main deck. If it's a spell, put it in your hand, otherwise recycle it. Sure. Going to be nice with blue with like stupefiers and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, seems okay for the right deck. Thanks everyone so much for watching. Thanks again to Card Market for sponsoring the video. Sorry, at times the graphics were a little bit all over the place at my girlfriend's place, but I wanted to get this video out to you regardless. Hope you enjoyed it. Give it a like if you did, and see you on the next Riftbound video soon.